Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and President of Brokerage Up and RealEstateCoach.com, and I'm very happy to welcome Jessica Peterson. She is the author of Create a Wow Life. You can reach her. Her website is createtheperfectday.com. That's something I like to learn more about. And we have a fantastic session called Stop Exchanging Your Time for Money. Jessica, thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted. You are a gem. You are a true gem. So thank you for having me.
Well, delighted to have you here. You're also a real estate agent. You're a coach. You've coached people. You've gotten awards for the work you've done. You've got an incredible backstory, and you're going to share part of that with us today.
Yes.
First of all, how did you go about writing your book, Create a Wow Life? What was the background on that? Because you had a pretty tough personal situation that resulted in a lot of changes in your life. Could you tell us what happened?
Yes, absolutely. So originally it started as Create the Perfect Day and evolved into Create a Wow Life. And I'll never forget that moment. I've been married over 20 years now. At that point, it was almost 20 years. This happened 3 years ago, Bernice. And I woke up with my husband's face right over my face. And he said, "Is there something wrong with my eyes?" And I said, "No, why?" And he goes, "I can't see." So I'll make a long story short. I wrote more about it in createtheperfectday.com. He ended up in ICU for 2 masses of brain bleeding. And your whole life and world changed. It was so surreal, I have to say. You never imagine the night before waking up that morning that your whole life will change. And at that moment, my business coach said, "Jessica, you can no longer trade time for dollars because your husband's high risk to be back in ICU. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and coach people?" Right? And so it just opened up my eyes. And then people in the meantime kept coming to me and saying, "How are you doing? How are you doing it all?" Right, Bernice? So I just knew I had to get this message out there for people to really step back and create the perfect day for them, because so many are a hamster in the wheel, coffee in hand, hair on fire, chasing the next bill and have a squirrel moment, right?
Wait a minute. So what, I love this business about the squirrel moment. It's like, oh, look at this squirrel.
Yeah.
Playing Scrabble at the same time, squirrel over here, and I'm not on my, how do I get my life back into control from, when you have a distraction, it takes 5 minutes to come back from a 30-second distraction, even longer if you've been away more than that. So what can the people who are listening to what you have to say today, what can they do to kind of create that moment, get more control of their life? One of the things we talked about was how to save 9 weeks of time a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can I do that? And I bet it has something to do with the social media, because that is a time suck for a lot of people. You're a numbers person. You've done mortgage and everything. I know you love the numbers.
Yes.
Tell us how the numbers work when it comes to this.
Well, that's a couple questions in one, and fabulous questions. So first of all, I know you are a firm believer in this, and I am too. Purpose. Really step back and look at your purpose. My purpose changed, right, with my husband. I have a daughter, right? So my life, my purpose changed. One thing that did not change was to impact lives. It just had to evolve and change it. And I had that aha moment of time being so precious. I've worked with companies and real estate agents on finding ways to save time. And I have a method. Everybody here listening can get that at createtheperfectday.com. So part of that is your purpose. And then also looking at having balance in your life, Bernice. And I talk about how it's like driving a car. If you get a flat tire, you don't get very far. So our life has 4 key areas, and I speak about it in the book. We've got to really make sure we're balanced in each one of those areas. I've had so many agents say, "Wow, those were some powerful moments in our lives."
Now, I'm going to challenge you on this balance issue, because I don't believe there is such a thing. In fact, I wrote a column that was on Inman just a few weeks ago. There's no such thing as work-life balance. That's it. Mm-hmm. And because balance suggests that there's this, this equilibrium somehow, and there's mm-hmm. not. And the premise I had was that we needed to be in harmony. If you think of your life as an orchestra, sometimes you play solo, sometimes duet, trio, sometimes you're with your entire orchestra, but it's having harmonious moments. So I would challenge you on that, but I would ask you, how do I create more harmonious moments in my life that lead to that wow life and a perfect day potentially?
Perfect question. So, for example, I've met some top producing agents. I'm sure you have as well that get up at 4 in the morning. They work 4 in the morning till midnight, right? So then their relationship suffered, their health is suffering, their impact in the world is suffering. So it really is about stepping back. It's not saying, equal time trade, like you said. Everything kind of flows harmoniously, and I take people on that journey to go ahead and integrate. So for me, I like to walk. Everybody's different for my health, right? So then I love to connect with other real estate agents and other, people in the community. So I will blend the two. I'll go on a walk on the beach. I live right by the beach, and I'll be connecting with other amazing real estate agents or business people. So it works harmoniously, but I'm not neglecting my health, my relationships, my business.
So what you're doing, and I think that's a really great takeaway, and a lot of us don't think about that, we can actually put some of our lead generation time into an activity that puts us face to face with others. So this could be walking on the beach, or I talked to one guy who built an incredibly, he was making into the $300,000-$400,000 a year from walking his dog twice a day in his neighborhood every day and just talking to people.
You know what I love about that? At least he had a plan. He's getting his health, he's getting the social life. So I always say, if you don't structure your business without a plan, it's like building a house without a plan. And you and I have spoken about you have certain rules on building a house for planning, but the house will look different for everybody. And so I take people on that journey of purpose, what is missing in your life, and then I even break it down into time and a whole calendar and everything else within the book, the journey for people.
Now, the thing I wanted to get to, though, most of us are wasting time on the social media.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What's that formula for getting those 9 weeks? I want to hear this. How to save nine weeks of time a year. Where do I sign up for that?
Yeah. So right now, on average, every person is spending, not investing. But there's a difference. Spending over 2 hours a day on social media. And so many people, doesn't matter if you're the small agent or the big agent or the big company, small company, it doesn't matter. The number one question is, what is your purpose for social media? Do you have a plan for that social media? If you could just save 1 hour a day in social media or other part of your business, right? And you take that times 365 days out of the year, which is 365 hours, divide that by a traditional 40-hour work week, that's 9 weeks. So time is powerful when it starts compounding. And I love to hear of businesses and real estate agents that I work with who are finding ways. And the most common way is social media, Bernice, because I want people to increase human connection. And I want to share with you, if I can, other areas of that I find that people are wasting time, trading time for dollars, you could say, right? They don't really have part of their plan, their niche. And part of that is relationships are powerful. I have met so many real estate agents who are out there chasing the next deal, right? Where that hamster, chase. And I say, oh, how long have you been in business? Oh, I've heard 15 years, 20 years. Oh, okay, well, how big is your database? I don't have a database. Oh, really? Well, I'm just out there chasing all the time the next deal. So if you really focus on quality relationships and that value that you deliver, not saying you should expect referrals from your friends, but let's just go on a journey of numbers. If people were to focus their time on those quality relationships which have a higher yield on investment of time versus chasing all those deals, the internet leads and all this, I'm not saying they're bad, but it's just that constant chaos, right? If they focus, yeah, it's a hamster. Hamsters and squirrels shouldn't play together in the same cage, right? You shouldn't be having squirrel moments. So, they shouldn't be playing together. But if you just take that 150, quality relationships, you may have 40, you may have 200. I'm just using simple numbers, right, for math. And let's just say you get 50 referrals from those 150 people. And out of those 50, let's just say 40. Let's just say 40 of those deals end up transacting. And the average is just for real estate, under 5,000 per deal. Let's just say 5,000 for rough numbers. So what's 5,000 times 40? It's 200,000. So focus on those quality relationships.
So how can I go about doing that on my Facebook page though. So
Oh,
what recommendations do you have for an agent? It's not about posting about yourself. It's about, as you said, building connection.
uh-huh.
And I just did a session over the weekend for the Texas Association of Realtors, and we talked about this. 75% of the closed listings, the seller only interviewed one agent. So the first person who gets to that seller when they're ready to transact is the one who gets the business 75% of the time, and another 13% only talk to one other person, one other agent. So how can I translate? What are some ways that I can move my online conversation offline? Do you have any ideas about
Oh,
that?
I love that. I love that question. So first of all, it always makes me laugh when people say, I'm going to follow you on social media and learn everything there is. Well, most of the action, I hate to break it to everyone, happens behind the scenes. I love to genuinely connect with people. So I have a formula where I ask people their interest, or I observe their interest. I may send them an article, or, and behind the scenes say, for example, Bernice, I value our relationship. Let's get on the phone. I want to hear how I can be of support to you. What's a good connection referral for you? Really deepening that relationship. It's not just the social
So
media.
let me get you to pause right there, because those are two huge takeaways. First of all, find out about their interests, because
Yes.
if you go to a party and what happens is the people like to cook to get together. Those who are interested in sports are together. We're attracted to who we are. But more importantly, when you have those interests, that's the basis for building a relationship.
Oh,
And
yes.
then the thing I love that you said is give to get marketing. How can I help you?
Hmm.
Because people like being in exchange. And when I help you, not all of them are going to, but when I help you, that help is going to flow back to me. It's almost like an infinity sign. You give and you get.
Yep.
So that's, those are two huge takeaways, Jessica. Thank you. That was great. Anything else?
Oh man, what you said was so fascinating. So I love to work with real estate agents. Especially, I have high end, and then I have some who are just suffering. And what you said was a golden nugget for everyone. I had an agent. She was at an agency for 11 months, wasn't producing. I said, okay, I have my formula, my steps. Just like building a house, it looks different for everyone, right? So create the perfect day. We discovered she loves a specific sports team. I said, really, that's part of her perfect day. So what we did is we found that nobody niched in social media for building a community of fans for that team. She couldn't believe it. She created a community, and people are getting together on a regular basis to watch the game. She's getting lots of real estate leads. So it's a win-win.
And that's the whole point. You're doing what you love with people
Mm-hmm.
you love. And one of the ways, it doesn't have to be sports, for those who are in metropolitan areas, meetup.com.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite group here in Austin is the Austin Chinetics Society.
Ooh.
There are 1,210 members last time I looked. That's the Austin Chihuahua enthusiast. So, and if you've got a dog, man, there are all these dog groups out there. I mean, there are groups for parents with autistic kids. I saw one. There was a beer, a group of ladies who like to get together for a brew. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things. Soccer enthusiasts across the board. People who are foodies. So, Meetup.com is a place where the strategy that you just shared, where you could create a group based upon what you love, because when you connect with people who you share those loves, and of course they're more likely to want to do business with you. So great takeaway on that. So to save that 9 weeks of time a year, then I need to be more strategic about what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
the takeaway here from what you're saying is that I need to connect personally. So it's like share an article, ask how you can help. Someone comments on on a comment on a post, engage that person and grow it that way. Um, One of the things that we're challenged with, you know, for me, what are the three things that I need to accomplish today, either personally or in my business? But then life gets in the way. How do we deal with that?
Oh, that's a great question. In my book, I have a planner weekly, right? And you fill in the most important, time blocking or whatever. I like to call it power hours. I use that term, power hours. And so when you dive into that, I have a question. It says, what can prevent you from accomplishing what you desire? Like, let's be open, raw,
What a
and real.
great question. What can prevent you from accomplishing what you desire? I want everybody you need to write that down. That's a brilliant question. And then answer it, right?
Yes, and be real. And I love hearing responses, and there's so many different ones, right? And you know, life, I have a confession. I used to have my life planned out by every minute, and I realize that doesn't work well because emergencies happen, like ICU, or you know, my daughter recently was in the hospital, and you know, emergency. So you've got to allow some time and go with the flow, right? Overall, though, you've got to have that purpose, that plan, and you know, creating where you're not out of control, which all just work. Or some people say, okay, you'll find this fascinating. I had a high-end business person who was addicted to social media 9 to 10 hours a day, just playing around, games, people, seeing a therapist for it too, and working with me, right? So it could be, everybody's answer is different. What can prevent them? Am I addicted to video? I've worked with agents who are addicted to video games or social media, or really finding that imbalance in your life.
One of the things you mentioned when we were talking before we jumped up on the show here today is having clear boundaries is essential to creating your perfect day and having a wild life. How can I go about creating better boundaries? You know, I've got that client that calls up who wants to talk for an hour, see their name on my caller ID, and I just want to cringe, send it to voicemail. What can I do to create those boundaries that let me maintain my business connections, but still give me that time for me?
Oh man, there's so many responses of that one. There's a couple stories I'll happily share. So I needed time with a family member for an hour, right? And my business coach, same thing. He believes in, you know, scheduling time for family and loved ones. And, you know, someone may say, I have to meet, I've got this big deal. I'm so grateful you thought of me. I have a meeting right now. Let me get back to you another time. Because if you start pushing out family and other areas of your life, it's going to take over control, and you're that hamster on the wheel. My coach once was at a restaurant with his wife on a date. This gentleman saw him and said, I'm next door to a big event. There's like over 70 of your ideal people. Come speak. He said he had to take a deep breath because he knew it was this great opportunity. He said, I'm so grateful for this. I'm on a date with my wife. How about we talk about a future time? And it still worked out, right? But really setting those boundaries, because you want to have control of your life and your time. It's more than just making money, right? I know it's about relationships and quality of life.
Yeah, when you're doing the give to get, you know, you start attracting people who give back to you, and that way you don't have to chase as much. And I love what you said here about, you know, just saying, I have another appointment. You have to say what it is. You may be sitting there with your feet up watching the, you know, Monday Night Football or something, you know, and
Yes.
Whatever it may be, that your foot, you know, it's like that time for you is essential. My coach worked with me, and I've had coaches work with me for 20 years to get off of working 7 days a week. And I now have a real estate free day on Saturdays, and I get more done on Sunday than I do the rest of the week. That one day I get twice as much because I had taken that time off and come back refreshed. So schedules the time for you. Jessica, do you have any final takeaways for our viewers today?
Well, I just look forward to hearing from each one what their perfect day looks like as they go on the journey, and their aha moments of where can they save time, just an hour a day that they can save, right? And to really create that wow life that every person out there deserves. Everybody's going to look different, right? It doesn't mean what's right for me is right for you. And I just look forward, I generally look forward to hearing from each person. I love it.
Well, Jessica, thank you for joining us. You can reach Jessica at simplywowagency.com. That's Jessica at simplywowagency.com if you want to share with her. And check out her book, Create a Wild Life, on Amazon. Jessica, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Bernice. You're amazing.